In this video today, we're going to go over the disassembly of the Ruger SP101 that's similar to the Ruger GP100. Both of them are well, robust, reliable revolvers, and they both disassemble in a similar fashion. Inside, we'll go over some of the neat features and stuff that these revolvers have, and I think the disassembly of it's kind of neat and unique compared to some of the other revolvers out there. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you subscribe, give a like, and even share it with your friends. Now let's go inside and get this thing apart. Alright, let's dig into disassembly of the Ruger SP101. First step, want to open it up, make sure there's no rounds inside of it. We can see that it is clear. Lock it back up. Flip it over to this side where the screw is to access where the hand grips are. Basically, you're just going to put a screwdriver in there, make sure it's the right size. A dime will not fit, and that's probably about the thinnest coin type thing you can get. Once you get it unscrewed and have it out, what you can end up doing is using it to push back in and pop out the grip. Once you have a grip panel out, you want to set that one aside. Now on this side right here, where we have the grip panel that we unscrewed and everything, we're going to want to flip it back over, and there's a piece right here that we push out that's one of the retaining things. You can use your hand if you want to, or something else, and this will help pop the grip out. And when the grip pops out, we also have this little pin that came out, and this pin that came out right here is used in the disassembly of it. And what it does is it sits in this little side part on the right hand grip. So you have that pin that's in there. We can take out the centerpiece that goes there, and with the centerpiece removed and the little piece that gets retained inside here that hopefully you have, you can slide off the grip. Once the grip slid off, we have it apart that far, then we can start the regular disassembly for it. For the thing, I'll just flip it over here. We're going to cock the hammer back. It's going to bring the spring tension down, and it's going to allow us to put this pin in the small hole that goes inside the hammer strut area here. Put it in there, kind of get it centered, and then release it, and it's going to lock it in place to where it's loose, and you can just move it and bring it out. You notice these little teeth right here are what mount in there. We have this piece off. Then the next thing we're going to work on is getting the hammer and the rest of it apart. So we can take our fingernail and slide it underneath here to take the hammer part off, or if you want, you can use a screwdriver or something. This piece right here is going to pop out, and it's going to release the hammer, which sometimes you got to play with a little bit to get it out and everything. But this right here will allow you to get the hammer to come completely out. The next part, two ways of doing it to an extent, but what we're going to end up doing is taking the lower part of this off of the upper part of the receiver. It's all solid steel on the upper part, and basically the trigger area we're going to take off. On this one here, I happen to have a hole in the back of it, so I could put a screwdriver in here, and we're going to end up pushing down on a little tab here to drop and open it up. If you don't happen to have a screwdriver, you can end up using the lever part right here just to push down on it a bit and get it open. You can push a few times, but you'll see it'll open up this gap right here, and then from there you can basically pull it and remove it. Warning on this part right here, the trigger group that you take off, if you're just taking it apart to clean it and do stuff with it, don't pull the trigger, everything will hold in fine. If you do pull the trigger here, this right here is your firing pin block that's in it. This firing pin block, if it comes up a little higher, is going to pop off on the side, and then some springs in here are going to pop off with this lever right here. If you're going to be replacing springs, there's a small spring in there that you can replace for a lighter one. There could be a good time to do it and everything, but you really don't have to take anything apart. You can just deal with it and leave it like this. Next part's going to be removing the cylinder latch. Basically just unlatch it, and it's going to slide forward. Basically you have a solid, complete frame. You do have the release here if you want to take it off, but normally you don't need to deal with that. But this is just a solid cast piece of metal right here. It's one of the things that makes the Ruger so robust and reliable. On the cylinder part, you pretty much have what you need right here. If you want, you can slide this part right here out. Sometimes it'll get built up with a bit of gunk and stuff. You can take SOS pads or something like that and scrub it to make it nice and clean. As I showed you before, it's a groove here that doesn't rotate, and it basically goes in and out and kind of spring loaded with a part that's in here. But like I said, I'll get this set up and we'll go through the reassembly of it, which is basically just a reverse order, but it's a real simple, neat thing. You really don't need a tool for anything except for the one screw. And once you get the one screw out, you can use the parts itself to do a full disassembly on it. So it's a really nice revolver in that aspect. And this solid piece right here is just amazing as far as the type of ammo you can shoot through it and how durable and tough the frame is. All right, and for the reassembly, you're basically doing the reverse order. Take the barrel cylinder latch area, put it back on. This part right here is going to slide down in the hole right here. You're just going to slide it right in and lock it right back up. Now it is going to spin because you don't have this cylinder latch thing that's going to hold it in place like it normally does. But we'll deal with all that as it goes. This part right here is a little tricky. If you see me do an edit, it's because I just want to get it right and show you how it's done. But this right here is the firing pin safety latch block. It kind of hangs by gravity, but you want to make sure that it's on the back side of where the firing pin and the hammer is. So you can kind of let it go into place. Gravity will kind of do its thing. This front tip right here is what you want to end up getting in to the latch part. So if the latch is in and you see that the hammer part's back there a ways, then a lot of times you can just bring this back in, squeeze it, and this part right here will go all the way in and connect with it. All right, sorry I had to take it off camera, but snaps back in. Once it's snapped back in, you'll see the cylinders locked up and all the main parts of it are kind of back together. So now it's going to be reinstalling the hammer and other stuff in it. Sometimes you got to play around with it a little bit to get things to line up just right. But like I said, you can pull the trigger a little bit, get it to where it's lined up right there with the hole, flip it over, and then this part right here will click in. Once it goes back into the latch there, you have it set up to where you need it. Hammer forward. We're going to take the strut part right here, put it in a little bit of an angle. You want to make sure it lines up in the spot it's supposed to with the hammer. Remember, we have these little pawls part up here. Then in order to get our little pin out that's in there, we're going to cock the hammer back and hopefully it'll all line up and latch on right. All right, pulled it back. We have our little pin out, so everything's back in there the way it's supposed to be. We can pull it. If we want to do it at this time, you can dry fire it, make sure it works, double action wise and single action wise. And you kind of see how the spring there ends up doing its thing. When you cock it back, it just cocks and goes forward. And when you pull it, it pops it back. Then from here, we can put the grip back on, basically just sliding it on into place. Once we got that slid back into place, want to take our pin that basically holds and retains it in there, and it can go in from either side, just push it in. Then we want to make sure that that pin we have that's built into the grip right here for disassembly goes back into its spot. Once it's back into its spot, we can put the little panels back in, make sure they clip where they're supposed to. Everything's clipped up. The screw is tapered and it only goes in on the right side of it. So just remember that when you go to put it back together. You can hand tighten it if you want, or you can end up using a screwdriver to finish it up and everything. But overall, like I said, I think it's a real neat and simple weapon to disassemble and put together. You really don't need any major tools or anything. The hardest part is going to be having something to take this apart. If you can get the grip panel off, then you can use the pistol to disassemble the rest of it, which is kind of neat and something that a lot of military firearms like to do. But like I said, I think overall, great pistol. Disassembly for the SP101, like I just showed you. Same exact thing for the GP100. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give a like and a subscribe. Cav Cop out.